What's going on, everybody? It's Mike Patton, and you are now watching another episode of Touring the AFC South. And on this episode, of course, we're kind of going over to the NFC. We couldn't talk about, the AFC and just leave the NFC out now. And boy, do we have a matchup. We have the San Francisco 49ers hosting the Detroit Football Lions. Yes, I said Detroit Football Lions, like there's any other lines in basketball, but hey, I still said it. And on this episode, I have the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash. What's going on, man?
Honor, joy, and privilege to be a repeat appearer here on Touring the AFC South. I had to make sure to say AFC because we are talking about that conference. Listen, the only beef I have with the Generals, we need to update that picture, baby. They don't see the locks coming on the show now.
I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll update it. But hey, I kind of like that picture. But
the picture. I'm not for the picture. Just people need to be warned that the locks are coming. It's a thing.
All right, and of course, representing the D. We could mess around, get that song. It's so cold in the D. You remember that song?
It is, man. It is too.
But yeah, I had to bring on my guy, Mr. C. Hen. The fellas present sports rap. He definitely brings it every single week. He's gonna give you the breakdown. He's gonna talk about Michigan, and I'm pretty sure he's got a lot to talk about with Michigan and a few other things as well. But hey, he's definitely gonna bring it, talking about the sports, gonna throw a little music in between with the little interludes, the show. So definitely thank you for coming on. Your first time on the show. Hopefully won't be your last, man.
Thank you for having me, man. I've been a long time fan, man. Been wondering, man, when can I get on the show, man? I'm glad my Lions finally did something of relevance, man. That got me here, man. Thank you, Detroit.
I hear you there. But we're going to get into talking about Detroit versus San Francisco. We're going to get into their game that got them to the NFC Championship game. But first, like every episode, I got to kind of bring in the get off your chest segment. Now, I didn't do it last episode. Wanted to kind of that matchup there, Lamar, Patrick Mahomes. You got Jordan versus Kobe going on right there. So, I had to give that a little bit of special attention. Not to say that the Lions and the 49ers are not great teams. I'm just saying that's Kobe and Jordan right there. But what I did want to do is bring back the get off your chest segment. And of course, I'm going to bring it back to the AFC South. Now, before the season, the Houston Texans were looked at as pretty much a team that was, going to be taking their growing pains this year. And, maybe they'll win 5 games, maybe they'll win 4, but not only did they win double that amount that some people thought they would win, they actually made it to the playoffs, had one of the best rookies on the offensive side of the ball, one of the best rookies on the defensive side of the ball, and one of the best rookie coaches. Now, if you haven't noticed, the Pro Football Writers of America have named Will Anderson the Defensive Player of the Year, have named C.J. Stroud the Offensive Player of the Year, and named DeMeco Ryans the Head Coach of the Year. What does that tell you? That tells you that Houston has a very, very solid base, and this may be an actual preview to what happens when the NFL awards happen in a couple weeks. So to me, it's basically a preview to what we're going to see. Also, just to give you a heads up, the Pro Football Writers Association did name Lamar Jackson the MVP. So that's probably a prelude to what's going to happen there too. But I'm just saying, if you look at that, those and the leadership they have, look out for the Houston Texans. It's going to be a little rough in the AFC South. However, I will say, of course, we did think the same about Jacksonville going coming in this year, and we saw what happened. But hey, I throw a little shot. Hey, right off the top rope. But hey, it is what it is. But do y'all have any thoughts on just the Houston Texans sweeping those awards for the Pro Football Writers Association?
I mean, on my show, on the student of the game, bing, listen, the end of the year awards I gave out, you had 2 Texans be the defensive and offensive rookies of the year. Who am I to argue? Now, granted, I find it interesting that Kevin Stefanski's getting dissed for DeMeco Ryans because I feel like the Browns dealt with way more losses, throwing Joe Flacco 5 different quarterbacks while beating both number 1 seeds this year. But Ryans, who I respect, let's not be clear. This needs to be a 1 and 1A conversation rather than, oh, this guy's trash and this guy's not. But I mean, I don't get how you can beat both the number 1 seeds, and just because you didn't win your division, you don't get coach of the year. By the way, not for nothing, even covering the Jags, which, by the way, I picked them to only win 10 games. I was off by only 1. I'm just saying. But I mean, I'll put it this way. It's very interesting to penalize a team for not winning their division, which is the toughest in the NFL.
I'll Kyle, kind of to come behind your point a little bit. I think there was definitely a strong year for a lot of the coaches this year. We talk about Stefanski, we talk about Ryans, even Dan Campbell could get a little bit of love in that category. Todd Bowles did a pretty decent job as well. But strong year for coaches. I will say this: them getting thrashed in the playoffs probably didn't do Stefanski any help. That may have been a nail in the coffin for D'Amico Ryans that first week of the playoffs. But with that being said, Houston, man, you guys got a good problem. You got a coach. You hit on your coach. You hit on 2 of your first-round draft picks. Some of these other guys who are already in the system there are starting to develop and kind of come to fruition as very, very good players. Houston is going to be a very, very interesting team going forward. So shout out to Houston.
Carlton, we've all heard the line, Houston, we've got a problem. I've never heard the response go, yeah, we do. That's to me.
Yeah, definitely is going to be interesting. Another guy, it's funny. If Houston would have lost to the Colts, you can actually make a case for Shane Steichen as coach of the year as well.
100%.
Another strong year.
So there's another one. And of course, he dealt with losing his rookie quarterback to injury. So, but of course, hey, I digress. I'm going to stand 10 toes down on Houston, sweeping all them awards. But hey, that's just me. But you can make a case for a lot of other people as well. But making a case for this game, let's switch over to that. Now, I don't think very many people had Detroit versus the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. A lot of people probably had a rematch, Philadelphia versus San Francisco. It's just a matter of where. But as we saw, the Philadelphia Eagles were not the same after they got beat down at home versus the 49ers. So it is what it is. And, hey, they'll learn and try to come back next year. We'll see what happens. But we have a matchup here of 2 teams that, had their lumps. They both got beat down by the Ravens in the regular season. It happened. They both have had their ups and downs defensively, but they both have been resilient and kind of put themselves together and put themselves on a collision course like they are now in the NFC Championship game. But before that game, of course, we got to talk about how they got there. First off, the 49ers. They're playing against the Green Bay Packers. Of course, they've got 49ers fans sweating bullets with the way the offense is playing. Then all of a sudden, they remember how to play on offense and pass the ball, Brock Purdy, and they get the game-winning drive with Christian McCaffrey running it in from like 4 yards out. However, that sounds good, but we do have to talk about the things that were kind of frustrating. No, there was no pressure. There was no pressure in this game. And, of course, poor tackling has basically kind of hounded the 49ers. But we're going to talk about this game. How much of that game was frustrating you in terms of the tackling for the 49ers in that game, Kyle?
I mean, sure, it's not something you want to see happen. Yes, I love it when my team misses tackles. I don't. But listen, can we give the Green Bay running game just a little bit of credit at least? Like this is when we would see running like this from other regimes with the Packers, the problem we would always run into as an NFL public consuming, this is an NFL running back getting hurt, right? I mean, Sam Congato and many other guys would not last any length of time because they get hurt. Fortunately, they have a guy in their backfield now, Aaron Jones, who's staying healthy. And listen, this is a good thing. I mean, the Packers line has always been a bit overhyped, but they're doing a good job. They're an actual balanced attack. And gentlemen, let's give Matt LaFleur just a little bit of credit here. When you run the plays he calls, they apparently work. You know, now that being said, those fundamental pieces are good for the Packers. We do expect, I would imagine, those of us who are asking for grit hats for Christmas would expect the Packers to be a threat next year. Certainly. I say love that saying that. I'm not trying to prop the Packers just to give you a hard time, Mr. Henry. That's not my point. What I am doing is making excuses for why on earth so many bleeding tackles were missed. Listen, Fred Warner and that linebacker core, absolutely amazing. Bosa doing his thing. Another reason for me to send Christmas cards to the Washington, D.C. general area there. Okay. Already got Trent Williams. Now we got Young on the other side on an excellent pair of bookends there, the likes of which you used to see whether it was Smith and Smith with Justin Smith and Alden Smith. Goodness gracious. It's not quite that good, but it rivals it is what I'm saying. And then missed tackles. We have this talented group up front we're observing for the 49ers, and you're blowing tackles. It doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I get it. They're secondary suspect. Let's put it this way. If I'm going to have a group that's weak against Jared Goff, listen, I'm on record, brother. I scoff at Goff, and I have since he's gotten drafted, but the dude's a game manager. You can't beef on that. Game manager should not be a slur for a quarterback. It's about to lead a dude to make it to a second NFC championship in his tenure. Can't front on that. But yeah, I'll put it this way. I think that was more of a wake-up call. For my money, as somebody who follows the 49ers, I would have preferred this be the kind of win they got on Conference Championship Sunday, so they're coming out in the Super Bowl ticked off. Instead, I'm just going to have to settle for the Niners being the Imperials, putting down the rebellion army here. I'm just saying.
It sounds good. It sounds good, Kyle. It sounds good, Kyle, but Mike, to your point, I you know what? I looked at the tape and I had a whole different, a feeling about it. It gave me hope. It gave me promise. It gave me, it caused pause a little bit. But with it being said, that I love that Aaron Jones was able to have the success that he was able to have, and it had me look further into teams who have played the 49ers earlier this year and had they had the same success, especially in their losses. And I found that there were a number of teams who were able to run the football against the 49ers. Cleveland ran for over 150 yards when they played them and beat them with DTR at quarterback. Minnesota didn't quite have the same success on the ground, but were able to move the ball through the air against the 49ers, threw for over 380 yards. I think Kirk Cousins did for a couple of touchdowns. And as well, when they played against the Bengals, they had 283 yards through the air, and also Mixon had 87 yards on the ground. So the formula generally, when you're playing the 49ers, is try to punch them in the mouth, control the football, and kind of get your play action game going, which kind of plays into the strength of what we do in Detroit here. So I think there's a path to a victory in this game.
I'm glad you used that phrase eventually, because I was going to be like, whatever do you mean? It's not like Jahmyr Gibbs is awesome or anything. Has grit on his hat, who's a former tight end of great blocking prowess. No, that's not a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a point of concern, but also another point of concern is the pass defense, the pass rush of the Detroit Lions. Now, I watched the game and they were getting to the quarterback. However, there's one thing that some people were missing. They were getting to him blitzing, especially putting a safety in there. Now, does that concern you that they have to use a safety to create some pressure against the Bucs of all teams? Does that really concern you going into this game, CN?
You know what? No, not at all, because it's like I'd rather see some pressure than no pressure. And earlier in this season, it was pretty much Aiden Hutchinson and no one else able to apply any pressure to the quarterback, our opposing quarterback. Now we're seeing AG be up to dial up some pressures where we're getting some guys involved. Brian Branch had a sack last week. Melifonio's had a couple of sacks. But again, though, those pressures not being, it's not all the time, just frequent enough to, get home, but also giving that offensive line something to think about. Are these guys coming or are they not? That split second of indecision is allowing other guys like Aiden, like Aleem McNeil, to beat their guy and put additional pressure on the quarterback. We knocked Matt Stafford around a little bit. We knocked Baker Mayfield around a little bit last week, forced a couple of turnovers out of Baker. So again, when we look at us defensively, that's kind of been our MO all year. We're going to give up 300 yards through the air. There's probably going to be a receiver who's going to go off and have either 147 yards like Mike Evans did or 181 like Puka did. But it's going to be about what we do in the red zone. Can we force San Francisco this week to possibly settle for 3 points instead of 7, possibly get the timely stops and get off the field, possibly force Purdy into one of those mistakes that he normally, I'm not going to say normally, that he usually makes in a loss for them.
Yeah, when they lose, it's usually connected to mistakes. By the way, you want to know what else is usually connected to a loss for the 49ers, CN? Trent Williams. Last I heard, Trent Williams, the guy who's healthy. I get it. Oh, but Deebo Samuel. You know what? I'll tell you, I'm not all that worried. You want to know the commonality in the 3 straight games that the 49ers lost? Trent Williams was hurt or missed all of those.
I agree with him. And it definitely showed up in there in the rushing game as well, because I believe CNC was under 60 yards in that game as well. But I'm more concerned with the other tackle, the guy who's given up 12 sacks. What's his name?
Oh, you would ask me that, and I'm completely blanking right now.
Is it Kibitz?
Yeah. There
like that. Something like that. Kibbles and bits, whatever you want to call him. I don't know.
Listen,
Kibble, I don't know if it's a family show. I got a couple of other jokes I will say, but I'm gonna keep it family oriented.
He definitely has
a little funky emoji that you have on. We're gonna try to attack him. We're gonna move Aiden around a lot, and we're gonna try to create some mismatches. Definitely with him, man, to put some pressure on Brock and hopefully make him make a mistake.
No,
we'll definitely see what happens. But of course, I had to, pick a little bit at how both teams made it there, and kind of exploit a little bit of the chinks in the armor. However, we do have to pay some bills around here.
Okay.
It's a thing called a commercial break. We got to take one of those. So we'll be right back on Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton.
A shift. A shift is something that happens and changes the dynamics. And that's what happened when Garrett Logistics was born. After 10 years as a sales pro in the logistics world of sporting goods, John Garrett decided to pivot to the world of freight and start a brokerage. So you're saying to yourself, why trust Garrett Logistics? Well, Garrett Logistics helps shippers improve overall workflow, along with increased on-time pickup and delivery percentages. Last-minute loads, multi-drop pickups, and more are part of the services with Garrett Logistics. They're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., all times Central Standard Time. So give them a ring at 615-400-8484. That's 615-400-8484, or you can email them at john@garrettlogistics.co or visit their website at garrettlogistics.co. Garrett Logistics, where the motto is, it's not just freight to us, it's your business.
All right, and we are back on Touring the AFC South. Now we're down to the matchup that you all have been waiting for, the Detroit Football Lions and the San Francisco 49ers. I like to call it the Battle by the Bay. Well, actually, it's Santa Clara. It ain't exactly the Bay anymore. It's probably the Battle by multimillionaires, but that
Battle of Wine Country
doesn't. What's that?
The Battle of Wine Country. But
there you go. But it just doesn't quite roll off your tongue. The Battle of Wine Country or the Battle of the Millionaires. It is what it is. But anyway, let's get into this matchup. Of course, I want to talk to you first, Ian. First thing we want to talk about is this passing game. Of course, the rushing game and timely passing, of course, to Sam Laporta and to Amon-Ra St. Brown, St. Brown. I knew I was going to do that, right? He got all them syllables, man. But, hey, he makes them catches.
Yes, sir.
But Amon-Ra St. Brown, let me say his name right. Of course, you have, the timely catches, they go to him. But, of course, the 49ers know that too. Those, that Laporta and, St. Brown are their guys, along with the running game. So, with that being said, and of course, those different things. Also, I will throw there that Zach Ertz did sign with the Lions, so he will probably be available this game, which I found quite amazing that he waited this long to sign with somebody. But that's another story for another day. But I mean, what level of concern do you have versus this 49ers defense? Just with I would say not that that yin to the yang of St. Brown. And then Laporta out there, kind of with a knee issue. What level of concern do you have about this offense versus? And also, let me throw in there as well. You do have 2 injured linemen as well that may not play.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Jonah Jackson, left guard, is not going to play. He had some surgery, I believe, to his knee, so he's going to be out definitely this game. So you're going to see, I forget the kid's first name, but Awosika is going to be the left guard. Frank Ragnow, we haven't heard on him. He left that game briefly last week with knee and ankle injuries. He's been battling a toe injury for the last couple of years. He was all-pro for the 3rd time in his career this year. Hopefully he's going to be able to go. Those are my biggest concerns dealing with us. Let's. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. San Francisco has a very vaunted defense. When you talk about the guys on the front, Bosa can get after the quarterback. Been watching him since Ohio State. They have Armstead. They have Hargrave. They have a number of folks who can really, really get after the quarterback. Linebackers are really, really dangerous. Fred Warner, Greenlaw, 2 of the best in the game. Guys cover a lot of area out there. They can blitz. They can play the run. They can cover, as we saw Greenlaw with 2 interceptions last week. But I think that, defensively, we're going to have to attack the front 7. First of all, we have to be who we are and try to run the football and try to punch him in the mouth, no doubt. But when we pass the football, we have to, see if the secondary can cover. I know they have Mr. Ward out there. I don't know if he travels. I don't know if he's going to play. Amon-Ra, who often lines up in the slot a lot. So I'm ready to see that matchup. But can they match up with him? Is he going to be matched up against Ambry Thomas? Is he going to be matched up against some of their safeties and their linebackers? And can he take advantage of those matchups? So eager to see that. And also, we also have unsung guys like Josh Reynolds, like Jahmyr Gibbs coming out of the backfield and making plays in the passing game. I want to see which guy is going to step up. Laporta and his knee, he's been getting better gradually every week. The first week, 3 catches, 14 yards, and a touchdown against the Rams. Last week, we saw him very busy with 9 catches and 65 yards in that game. He's our secondary receiver, if you will, our little Kelsey, if you will. So I'm eager to see how he matches up with those linebackers, how San Francisco defends those guys, and can they keep us from putting points up on the board? Because I don't think a lot of folks have talked enough about how we're going to attack them and how they're going to defend us. It's basically about, well, your defense is crappy. They have all these weapons offensively. How are you guys going to stop them? Are we going to stop them? I don't know, but slow them down, hopefully.
All right. Now, I'm going to flip this question for you, Kyle. Defensively, the 49ers, we talked about the missed tackles. We talked about the, kind of blown coverages, things like that. But you're going against a Detroit offense that likes to run the football right at you. They do attack the edges with Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit. A trouble for a situation when it came to, against the Green Bay Packers. So I got to ask you and throw this at you. What is your level of concern with this Detroit Lions offense?
Well, see, listen, I think really stopping the Detroit Lions offense actually starts with the efforts for the 49ers offense. Control the clock. Keep that Detroit defense on the field. If they're in a position where they have to abandon the run, the 49ers have already won. If you're talking to me about a world where those ends can pin their ears back, now you're going to be in a situation where Jared Goff would actually have pressure, which is kind of a rare thing. And listen, this isn't me dissing. I made the joke earlier about scoff at Goff. That's not what's happening here, right? Patrick Mahomes II in a Super Bowl has been myrtleized in the performance. Perhaps you remember against Tampa Bay as an example. But why did that happen? Offensive line injuries. He was missing 3 offensive linemen, and people want to be like, oh, Brady's better than Mahomes. No, stop it. But the punchline's this, guys. I'm tangenting. At the end of the day, I think it starts with the offense's ability to control the possession, the time of possession. I think that's a big deal here. Defensively, again, ironically, I mentioned the Chiefs. in handling an NFC game. But Kyle, why do you do that? That's a great question, gentlemen. The Chiefs showed you how to handle a team that is going to focus on a run despite having a quarterback who's accurate and good receiving threats. The Buffalo Bills and what they did in their offensive game plan until really kind of towards the end was to move the ball on the ground. I think the Niners come out on defense. Hey, listen, y'all going to get yours. You're going to get some Jahmyr Gibbs runs. Some things are going to happen. We get that. You're not going to beat us for the big play. And if you notice, Buffalo last week did not have a play over 20 yards. If the Niners come out with that kind of effort, I don't think the Lions can beat them blow for blow. And I'm not here to say that the Lions don't have weapons. Heck, Head, I'm already on record. These fools in Vegas are completely underestimating you. I'm picking the Niners to win, but I'm betting the Lions with that free touchdown worth of points. You better bet your entire rear end on that. Let me tell you what. That all being said,
like the 7 points too. I like it.
See, listen, we could be allied on something. And should the Niners fall this weekend, I got no problems with giving the Lions their props. It's a happy story. For me personally, there's no villains upcoming in the Super Bowl. Whoever wins, I'm happy about it in some way, shape, form, or fashion. No, I'm not a Swiftie. Don't ask the question. The punchline. For me, listen, it's about making sure you don't get beat with that big play that St. Brown is definitely good for, that Laporta is definitely good for. There's a reason Laporta's got big numbers. It's because play action works when you can run it the way they do with this O-line that they got. But them being nicked up matters, especially against this Niner front. Me, I challenge them first. Okay, I know you can run the foosball. Show me.
Hey, well, there we have it. Now, oh boy. You know, we could talk. Well, I'm gonna give you this one, Him. 49ers pass rush did not record a sack last week. They have actually been struggling to get to the quarterback, not only this game, but the previous game and the game before that. With two linemen out, like I mentioned previously, does it kind of concern you that maybe a Mr. Hargrave or Mr. Armstead may make some things happen in the middle of that line to free some guys up on the perimeter of that defense?
Well, I will say this. This isn't the first rodeo. This isn't the first game that Jonah Jackson has missed this year. He's probably missed about 4 or 5 games this year. Been in and out of the lineup, dealt with some nagging injuries all year. I believe this is the second or third start for Awosika. And I think he's been a solid player. He finished up that game last week. He played strong in there. If Ragnow is in there, I don't have my concern level probably drops by 30%. I just think that we have had some injuries up front, and we've had to kind of piecemeal it together, 1 or 2 guys at a time. But Ragnow is our center, makes all the line calls, makes all the protection calls. I feel confident with him in there. Again, that them not being able to get to the quarterback last week, definitely was an eyebrow raiser, if you will. And if that continues this week, I feel very, very good about it. If we give Jared Goff the time to pick apart the defense, I think I'm confident that he can do that. It's when people get into his space, he has to move. He's a little bit more statuesque in the pocket, and those also are times when he doesn't rely on his footwork, gets inaccurate, gets a little loosey-goosey with the football, and turns the ball over. For us to win this game, we've got to win the turnover battle. We've got to force Brock Purdy into some mistakes, get some extra possessions, and get off the football. It's funny because I hear Kyle talk about what they want to do offensively and how that helps their defense. That's the same statement that Detroit wants to do offensively. You want to run the football, be methodical with it, keep that defense off the field, and hopefully score points. When we score 7, hopefully we want to hold you. We want to get off the field, in an ideal world. But if not, we want you to score 3. We played Tampa Bay last week. Both of us scored 5 times. We just scored 4 touchdowns and a field goal, while they scored 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. 23. I've been saying all week to everybody I talked to from about this game and for San Francisco, 23 is our magic number. Our defense needs to hold our opponent to 23 points or less, and our offense needs to simply score more than 23 points. And I think we have a great chance of winning any game that we play in this year. That's been basically the formula for us. We're going to give up 300 yards to the air. Somebody's going to have a wonderful game offensively as a receiver, maybe two guys. But the bottom line is, can we get that key crucial stop? Can we get that extra possession? Can we create that crucial turnover that puts us over the top?
Hey, Kyle, I'm gonna come back to you, man. Now, he said about, having games through the air. And sure enough, Green Bay had a pretty good game when they attacked Ambry Thomas through the air. I mean, the guy got a 41-yard pass interference call where all he had to do was keep his hands off the guy and locate the ball. But no, he goes and grabs the guy. So, I'm gonna sit that down right there just to say, what does Steve Wilkes do to protect him from a Jameson Williams, from a Amon-Ra St. Brown, from any of the receivers that you got in Detroit? Because, as you can see, he can get got by anybody. So what does Steve Wilkes do to protect him? Or do you see Oliver come in and play and then move Lenoir back out of the slot?
I mean, moving him out of the slot might be a good move. I think it's an element where really the best move is to mix it all up and come out with something of different plays and do what you can. For my money, concentrating on St. Brown and saying, if you're going to beat us, it's going to be by a different receiver. And here's the thing about that. This is why I'm most worried about Jahmyr Gibbs. If you are worried about shutting down Laporta because I got enough problems with St. Brown. I'll let the DBs handle him. Warner, Greenard, guys, you need to make sure you get Laporta out of there and not scoring. And I don't even want to talk about the Zach Ertz factor. That's a whole other ball of wax. If he actually is taking the field and being that big a threat, I can make the argument that if they come out in a 2 tight end set, both linebackers are going to be severely challenged. Somebody's going to overcommit to trying to stop Jahmyr Gibbs, and someone's going to get that big 20-plus yard play that I said can't happen, right? All of that is incredibly dangerous, mostly because they're accounting for that weakness in the armor. Now, that being said, Goff doesn't have time to find the man. That's where the victory's won, right? But at the end of the day, and Hen mentioned the run game being absolutely huge in this scenario. I don't think anybody's going to doubt that. That's football 101 over and above. Again, your team is the guy that has grit on his cap, Hen. Of course they're going to run the damn football. That's how that works.
Yes, sir.
And I still didn't get mine for Christmas. I'm a little sad. I get it. I'm all
if we win this game, you might get one. You might get one in the mail for Christmas.
I wouldn't be mad at it. I'll do a jersey. If I get a grit hat, you will get a student of the game T-shirt. I can guarantee that. Okay, listen. General will tell you I'm good on my swag swaps. Okay, but the point is this. At day's end, for me, I think it's just a matter of moving things around and just throwing different looks, confusing what's going on up front, while also discouraging the run. It's a tough mix. This is why this group can do what they did. The one advantage I would say is today, Jordan Love is asked to do a bit more than Jared Goff is, meaning I think he's a slightly what's his word? More multifaceted passer. I know. Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl and he scored an entire touchdown. I'm still not.
I just gotta ask you. I gotta push back. What is Jordan Love asked to do more so than Jared Goff?
He's asked to do more because, well, first of all, he's asked to do more because he doesn't have an Amon-Ra St. Brown and a Laporta there. A little bit more. Goff has a little bit more help there. You know what I'm saying? Like it's something too where. LaFleur is I'll put it this way. Jared, I don't know the exact number, but was Jared Goff asked to throw the ball 36 times against the Bucs? I think it was pretty high.
He threw 43.
He threw it for 43. Okay. Is that what you want to see happening as a Detroit fan?
You know what? We've shown we can win multiple ways. I don't mind Jared Goff throwing the football. If he was 30 or 43, so if he's completing 65-70% of his passes, I don't mind it. Sometimes the short passing game is our running game. Tampa did a fairly decent job against the run. I think Jahmyr had 74 yards on 9 carries, and Monty had 33 yards on 10 carries. So fairly decent job against the run. Then we had Craig Reynolds. We snuck Craig Reynolds in there for a touchdown.
Yeah.
Throw that one in there. You know what I'm saying? No one saw that one coming. So
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at. I know some people betting were, but listen, I'm not one of those degenerates. I just said bet Detroit because they got the points. I don't mean I'm doing it, but listen, the reason why I say what I say about Jordan Love being asked to do a bit more is merely the styles of offense played. This isn't me slamming Goff. Goff is there to manage that offense. I think Jordan Love's more central to it. That being said, we're back to that whole if you as the Detroit Lions can run a balance that matches what the Packers did last week, any 49er follower would be nervous.
Oh yeah, I think, and that's the thing that I think that we're looking at. And I know last week was last week, and you guys are coming off a week off, so that there may be some rust there, and styles definitely make fights. But when you look at last week's game, like I said, I think that we have a better offensive line than Green Bay. I think that we do have. Definitely. They have a plethora of young guys who are going to be great players at the wide receiver spot. I think overall, though, when you look at a guy like Amon-Ra St. Brown, you look at a guy like Josh Reynolds. I didn't even mention J-Mo. I be forgetting about J-Mo sometimes. I think I like our skill position group a little bit more than I do Green Bay. I love our running backs a little bit more. So I look at that game and I look closely. If there was an opportunity for Jordan Love to make a throw to Aaron Jones late in that game, in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, he went. First 3 quarters, he was playing like Aaron Rodgers. Fourth quarter, he went to Brett Favre. He had a chance to hit Aaron Jones to continue a drive. He threw the ball behind him. The first pick to Greenlow, he threw high and hot to Tucker Kraft over the middle. He tipped the pass. Greenlow intercepts that ball. I think that under those 2 balls alone, if Goff is in that position, because he wasn't overly pressured in either one of those situations, Goff makes that throw. They continue that. They continue those drives. Then we go into the throw from hell where he threw across his body on first down for no apparent reason. He could have easily thrown that ball off. He had a guy blocking in the backfield, threw it right at his feet, played the second down. I think that those opportunities will possibly come up, and Goff is not going to make the mistake that Jordan Love makes. Now, does he play mistake-free football? No, he does not. You can probably say that better than I can because you've probably seen a lot of his mistakes against the 49ers. But I think that there's also some value in him being able to see this defense a number of different times. He has had some success against you guys. He's had a number of games where he's thrown over 300 yards. He's had a number of games where he's had multiple touchdowns. There's only a few games where he's had I think 1 or 2 games where he's totally fallen off the cliff. He will give you that untimely pick, you know what I'm saying? And I think, we have to really, really work on the turnover battle. We got to win the turnover battle. Our running backs, Montgomery and Gibbs, have to outplay your running back, outrush your running back, control that time of possession, outperform him. And we've got to protect Goff. And I think if we can get all those things done in this game, it can get real interesting in Santa Clara.
I'll say this to say that if you're going to reference Goff used to do X against the 49ers, really the best thing there to say, Hen, if you're going to take that shot, here, let me help you calibrate your sniper rifle for just a little bit. The similarities between this Lions team and that Rams team are very interesting, except you don't have Todd Gurley necessarily in one running back doing everything pre his knee getting screwed up. You have it in that core, that kind of running talent that was in support when the Rams made it to the Super Bowl.
I'm saying, but a lot of folks have been telling me all week that they own Goff and he's 3-6 against him and that. And I get it. But
that phrase.
He started off 3-1. So you know what I'm saying? That's how he started with a hot start. You know what I mean? In the last game, we saw him in 2021 here, but even in that game, he threw for well over 300 yards and a couple of touchdowns. So I think he's got a supporting cast, and I'm not some of those teams that lost to you guys were very, very good teams. I'm not knocking that, but sure. I think that we can't really evaluate Goff on how you saw him with the Rams. This is a whole different team, a whole different scheme here with Ben Johnson, and I think that even some of his failures, he may be able to triumph this 10th time around, maybe the 10th time of the charm.
Nope. I'll put it this way. Let me put on it, and I can let you have the last word on this particular piece, right? As the student of the game, the best play to see my lessons learned. Let me remind you what my lead was for the defensive success, right? No big plays. And if you're worried about big plays, you have to at least slightly respect the guy who's handling the ball under center.
Yeah, definitely. Now I will talk about the 49ers, and one person that catches a lot of flack for the 49ers, that'd be Mr. Kyle Shanahan. Now, last game or last couple games, people have talked about him coming out and wanting to throw the football around the yard like he's just going 5 wide or something like that. And I'm like looking at it. When I'm watching the game, I'm kind of like, what's going on here? Did we just forget we have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield? So with the Lions, and like you said, Sihan, with the Lions giving up a lot of pass yards, how much is he tempted to come out throwing the football in this game and ultimately not getting his best offensive player involved, or his most important? Well, I'd say his best offensive player because Debo is his most important, but I would say his best offensive player, Sihan, is McCaffrey.
You know what? That's a very interesting question. I'm hoping that we can stop the run and he has to go to the air anyway. But with that being said, Kyle does what he wants to do, man. Kyle is kind of his own guy, and however he's feeling is what he's going to do. Now, I think if Debo doesn't play in this game or is severely hampered, we can see them probably try to establish the run a little bit more, probably try to establish the short to intermediate game a little bit more with Kittle. But if that is not the case, if they're in full, everyone's 100% and can play, he may want to throw the football around again. We're not the best at passing the football, but again, if you tell me out of the two players, who are you going to put the ball in the hands, put the ball in whose hands to beat me, Christian McCaffrey or Brock Purdy? Choose your poison. I'm going to probably choose Brock Purdy. I feel like we're coming in here with the number two ranked run defense. We've done fairly decent job against run, unless CMC gets loose and has a great game, so be it. But prove it to me. We're going to try to stop the run and prove me that Brock Purdy is this great MVP candidate. Let's see.
Kyle.
I'm a firm member of the Brock Purdy is not an MVP candidate club. Okay, the student of the game, Christian McCaffrey. So I know you've heard the noise, but let me be clear: it ain't come from this boombox. All right, let's get that right. But listen, I think there's a lot to what you're saying there. For me, for my money, a winning stat line for the Lions has Christian McCaffrey with less than 15 carries, and in a perfect world, I'd see him with 20. Now, I'll say touches instead, because if he gets some passes off of play action, beats you down the field and gets that big play that he is capable of home running at any moment's notice, and say, I know you rightly so have criticized the other side of the offensive line from Trent Williams, but let's be clear. If they're given an opportunity to run the football and one defensive player, probably not Jack Campbell, makes a mistake in the second level, he's going to take it that distance. Listen, I saw that dude play in a bowl game. Granted, it was with Purdue, like having half their players out and like their coaching staff gone. And I get that, the biggest blowout in Citrus Bowl history, all of it. But I was still impressed, even though I'm pretty sure Jack Campbell had very little to do in that game that day. I don't think he played minimal time. But the punchline being this, guys, I feel like McCaffrey is obviously in a successful Niner game is the one getting the touches. I would disagree slightly with the general statement that Debo is the most important player in this game. I think he was important to the game plan last week for what the Packers did well on defense. Here, it's a matter of if you outlast the initial punch, you can get that big ball down the field. Debo's nice to have some exotic trickeration run plays to call out of. And while that's good for only 4 or 5 touches, maybe it's good for the scheme. I'm not here to say that life without Debo Samuel is better. I am here to tell you that Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle are still plenty scary as passing options in a play action situation. By the way, that CMC guy, not bad at catching the football either.
Yeah, I'm to your point, Mike, to be honest with you, if Kyle Shanahan said that we're not going to run the ball, but we're going to line up Christian McCaffrey in the slot and go short, quick game to him in the passing game, that would be a little bit more scarier than them running the football 20 times for me, because I know in the passing game we're in the zone situation or a man situation. There's 1 or 2 people with eyes on him in that situation. Running the football as soon as he gets it is 11 guys, 11 hats to the ball. So if Kyle chooses to do that, we'll see. But again, we're counting on the recipe for success that we've had 14 times this year, which is be as stout as we can against the run, do what we can against the pass, and hopefully come up and make a play.
Now, I was going to kind of go a little bit further into Brock Purdy and Jared Goff, but I'm pretty sure you all touched on that a lot in this episode.
Brothers from another mother.
So I definitely, will throw them out, but I want to kind of get to, because we're reaching the end, and I want to kind of get to your predictions for this game. I know Hen, I already know it's probably going to be Detroit all the way. Kyle, I know it's probably going to be San Francisco all the way, but I just would love to know what you think your score predictions are going to be for this game. Henry?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So listen here, man. I think that we are able to, score some points in this game. I think that we're going to try to do our best to have some methodical drives in this game, play keep away, if you will, and hopefully we're going to score a few touchdowns against this defense. You may see a fake punt in this game. You're definitely going to see Dan go for it once, twice on fourth down. You may see some halfback pass from CMC because we're going to be going balls to the wall, trying to stop the run. So I wouldn't surprise me as well. But I think that, our defense continues to bend but not break, and we win this football game, man, 27-24.
Okay. All right. Kyle?
Listen, it's not unusual to see Carlton pick his Lions, but one thing I already said I knew somebody would get that drop. I did it on purpose, guys. It's funny. But listen. At the end of the day, bet the Lions, but the Niners are going to win. And listen, Hen, I showed you respect by showing you the dad joke there, but you're wildly off in your score prediction. It's going to be 27-23 49ers. I don't see.
You know what? That was my score. That was my score a couple of days ago because I wanted to keep you guys to 3 field goals, but I'm taking the over. So 50 and a half is the over on this. So I need that. I need you guys to get that 24.
Okay. Should you win today, I should hope you get some.
I didn't think that we would have to score 4 touchdowns. We take 28-23. I mean, if that's what you feel, you know what I mean?
Hey, however you can get it to that point, I ain't going to front on that. But yeah, listen, I'm with you. I think it's going to be a relatively low-scoring game. I have to be honest, you, sir, have shown to be a brave human being, actually even touching the over-under on this humpy bumpy. I did listen. Power to you, my guy. But yeah, listen, bet the Lions, but the Niners are going to win 27-23 in my mind. And credit to you, Hen. I love that a guy brought the red zone percentage to the conversation. I, as a student of the game, find myself alone in that closet talking about that statistic. Before the game, everybody wants to talk about it after. No, General, I know you talk about it too. I wasn't including you here. I'm trying to flatter your other guest. But the punchline is this, guys. Yeah, it's going to come down to who actually breaks the plane more often at the end zone. And I think while, St. Brown's going to get his, Laporte is going to get some catches, this Ertz thing is a wild card. I really haven't had a chance to process the impact of that. That's all very fascinating. But at day's end, despite him perhaps getting another element of the lemon booty late in the game like he does, Kyle Shanahan, I think the Niners hold on and find themselves looking down to the barrel of a very dangerous Super Bowl matchup.
Oh, boy. Well, I'm let's see. I did make a prediction last game, even though last episode, but the AFC game, I did have the Ravens. Now, before this season, I will tell you, my Super Bowl matchup was 49ers versus Ravens in the Beyonce Super Bowl rematch. Mm-hmm. So that's what I had before the season. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say 30-27. I'm going to go 30-27 or 30-24 with the 49ers going to the Super Bowl, a rematch of the Harbaugh, but, missing one Harbaugh. So, that's what I got going into it. It'll be interesting. Definitely for sure. But we can't end the show without a game. Now, in this episode, we have 2 contestants. So I got 3 questions apiece. 6 questions. We got 2 answers, and you got 1 choice to make. Fellas, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Well, I would be ready in a minute if my eyes would stop watering. Anyway,
Allergies are real, folks.
yes, definitely. As you can see, I have my trusty piece of paper
Yeah.
with my notes here. All right, let's see. You're up first, Ian. All right. Eminem or Royce the 5'9"? Which rapper are you going with? You need a hot 16? Who are you going with?
Ooh. Now, the people's champ is Eminem. You know what I'm saying? He's the people's champ. But I'm homegrown, man, and I love me some Royce 5'9", man. So give me Tabernacle, Royce 5'9", man. I'm taking Royce for the hot 16, baby.
I will say this: I do like his verse on the Toby song. I can't remember the name of the song right now, but any Toby and the Wee song I love. But anyway, yeah, that verse on that song, yeah, that was killer though.
Right, people sleep on Royce. Royce nice.
Yeah, he is nice with it. Now, Kyle,
sir,
I'm gonna go with some songs that I really like. I really like these songs. And you're probably going to have a tough time picking between these two. Because, I mean, I used to hate these songs as a kid, but I love them now. You got the Eagles, Hotel California.
Classic stuff.
Or Dreams, Fleetwood Mac. You got to pick between both of those songs.
I mean, for me, listen, this is not a knock on Fleetwood Mac, but I mean, the Eagles is classic stuff, man. Listen, maybe it's just me. Maybe I've enjoyed the prospect of music and frosty adult beverages entirely too much in my life. But the punchline being this: when that's the environment, you always got to hang out at the Hotel California first with what the Eagles bring to the table. I don't think there's a middle ground on that.
Yeah, I will say this though: I do like that Dream song. It does kind of catch you.
Oh yeah. Listen. No one. I'm not gonna go full 1-1-8 conversation here, but yeah, nobody's hanging their head in shame in this matchup.
Now, you know, in the Fleetwood Mac song, they do got a song about players only do something when they play. So they do got a player song in that song, though, see here. But, you know, going to the next one. Yeah, that kind of threw me off. I read, I was like, hold up. They talking about players playing. Hold on. But, you know, I guess kind of a link to Detroit, you know, with the players ball, you know, but hey, we know.
Yes, sir.
All right. We got to go Detroit. We got Herman Moore or Johnny Morton. Which one would you take in terms of the Detroit wide receivers?
Man, you know what, man? Johnny was cool, man. Johnny was cool. He had a little short-lived marriage to Shanice, man. A little known fact about that, man. But
oh, for real?
Yeah, man. They were a thing when he was here, man. They were a thing, man. And he's also into martial arts. That was also a thing that he was into. But I'm gonna go Herman, man. Herman was, you know, until Calvin came along, Herman was probably the greatest receiver, you know what I'm saying, in the history of the Detroit Lions. Still here in the area, making an impact in the community. So I got to go Herman Moore there.
All right. Kyle, your turn. Roger Craig or Ricky Waters?
Ooh.
It's the catfish all day. Listen, and at the end of the day, they both have their own notorious play in mind. You know, Ricky Waters, you know, with the, I was afraid alligator arms allegations versus Roger Craig having that key fumble against the Giants to even make Scott Norwood possible. Thank you for breaking my heart just a little bit, General. What? Listen, I'll say this. The catfish did it before it was cool. And Ricky Waters is obviously an underappreciated player, but yeah, no, you got to go with Roger Craig all day from me on this one.
Now, little known fact, some that don't know or some new school people to football, Roger Craig was the first running back, 1,000 yards receiving, 1,000 yards rushing. I you know, Hall of Fame, I think he needs to be in there.
As I said, did it before it was cool, General.
Definitely. You know, and of course, another running back did that his previous stop before he landed in San Francisco. That would be Christian McCaffrey. All right. CN, I got this one for you. You got one team to root for on a Sunday. Is it the Green Bay Packers you're rooting for, or are you rooting for the Chicago Bears?
Oh, man, listen. Ah, man, listen, I'm not rooting for either one of those scrubby organizations. I like the upside right now with Green Bay. I would probably like to hang out more in Chicago, the city. But either one of those teams, just give me a Saturday afternoon on the Navy Pier in the summer, and I'll just do that. Chicago, but I'm not cheering for either one of those teams.
Oh man, I'm gonna let you slide because it's your first time on the show. But you do got to pick one. But all right.
Maybe I took an afternoon at the Navy Pier. I mean, hey man, it's still Chicago.
Yeah, you did kind of finesse that one.
That way, I'll give to the local economy instead of sitting in my house in Detroit and watching them.
It was two toes down, but he did eventually give a choice, General. I'll give him that.
Yeah, he definitely finessed that one 2 times. Okay, let's see. We got one for you, Kyle. We got the Seahawks or the Packers. You got to cheer for one of them teams. Who you cheering for?
Listen, at day's end, at least at some point, I can prop Richard Sherman as my first video interview and giving me one of probably the better interviews and comments still to this day as a testimonial about Pete Carroll having under his tenure, which is now over. It's still weird to even talk about that. But during his tenure, I talked to Richard Sherman back in 2014, who referred to Pete Carroll's sideline as a support group for guys with chips on their shoulders. With all that being said, at least I can pull a fond memory. The Packers have given me nothing but pain other than the catch-2, which was vengeance for all the time that Brett Favre looked absolutely disgusting, insulting me with his existence in the game of football. People trying to say, oh, he's as good as Montana, but leading the league in interceptions. By the way, most career interceptions for a quarterback. So cheeseheads, I'll take your beer and your cheese, but your football insults me, generally speaking.
Well, I did say 6 questions, but I thought of a couple other ones for both of y'all. So I'm gonna go ahead and give those to you. I got another soft rock one for you, Kyle. Right. Yeah, you're gonna have to think about this one, but we're gonna get to that one in a second. But see here. Okay. Here we go. You got to cheer for one of these teams too.
Oh man.
Is it Michigan State or Ohio State? Which one are you cheering for? Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you this, man. You know what? It's a tough question, but it's a tough but easy because it's real. It's my life, man. Like I don't cheer against Michigan State unless we're playing them. They are forever little bro, and we will always support our little brother in all their endeavors outside of the rivalry within the state. So it's always little bro over the Buckeyes down south.
All right.
They family. My sister's a Spartan.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. Okay. All right. Here's one for you. I got a Don Henley special, Kyle.
Oh, snap.
I got Desperado or The End of Innocence. You got to pick one of those songs by Don Henley. Which one you picking?
I mean, my answer could change by the day, General. This isn't fair.
Some Don Henley got them hits, man.
See, like, and like these aren't even these. I mean, I could go other directions for Don Henley. Even if you don't love me anymore, that's still my response. See what I did there? Anyways, the punchline.
Yeah.
Oh man, you can tell I'm stalling, can't you?
Yeah.
Golly. Desperado is a good song, but I'm gonna
Desperado. No, I don't need to sing no more. That's it.
I'm gonna go the other direction, man. I can't do it. It's got to be The End of Innocence for me because that's the one that gets stuck in my head more often. Like, how much have you walked around at my age like that? So no, you got to go with The End of Innocence. It's what you got to do. It's what you do.
Man, I tell you what, man, my dad played that song listening to like 96.3 or 92.9. I was listening to that. I'm like, God, I hate this song. I hate it. I had hated it as a kid. Now I'm walking around like, man, that was a good song. I'm like, okay, what just happened here? Reverse psychology. You played the reverse psychology game with me as a kid, man. But yeah, man, definitely had to go there with all that. But, of course, we got the 49ers. and the Detroit Lions. Hen, Kyle Nash, thank you both for coming on. Of course, you two are not the only ones going to be at odds during this game. Jamel Hill and her husband will definitely be at odds because, she's from Detroit, Mumford High, and she is a 49ers fan.
I don't even know how that happened.
She got off that narcotic quick. She did like Joe Montana and like winning though. Okay. But definitely. So that's how that happened. And of course, her husband is a huge Detroit Lions fan. So if you watch her IG feed, that definitely will have you cracking up a little bit. He even said they ran out of toilet paper, so the jersey was the toilet paper.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he did that. I was like, wow. So it had me cracking up. So yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall in their house during this game if they're not at the game. So
maybe on the ceiling, because like if you're on the wall, you might get hit by something that got thrown. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting, especially. But we'll see what happens. But thank you both for coming on the show. I want to give you the floor, Hen. Tell everyone where they can find your podcast, where they can find you on social media. You call it Twix. I call it the artist formerly known as Twitter. They can find you there. But, hey, go right ahead. Tell everyone where they can find you on social media and your podcast.
Man, first of all, man, Mike, thank you so much for having me, man. It's definitely a wonderful time, man. Again, a longtime fan of yours. Thank you for all the support, man, that you send, man, my way, supporting the show. You can definitely follow me at Hen313 like it is on your screen, on Twitter, Twix, X, whatever you want to call it. And definitely check out my podcast, The Fellas Present Sports Rap. It's on Spotify and Google Podcasts, a weekly podcast where basically I break down everything sports related, NFL, NBA, college football, little college basketball as well. And I also like to talk a little bit and include some of the latest and or old school hip hop in there as interludes. So definitely check me out, man. The objective fan is what I like to call myself.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I will say that hey, I need to talk to you as well about Google Podcasts, man. I got some news for you there. But as far as Kyle, go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you on the social media. I already know, man. We've been in class already, so I already know what's gonna happen. Go right ahead, tell everyone where they can find you.
An honor, joy, and privilege to jump aboard touring the AFC South once again. Proof that Mike Patton finds good people. It's not just me. I was already following Hen on Twitter. Okay, that is what it is. By the way, I call it Twitter because much like Joel Klatt, I don't like telling people publicly that I'm on X. They'll get the wrong idea. By the way, listen, I know you guys are both into rap and hip hop. If I get a direct message on X, is that a DMX? I'm just throwing it out there. Okay? Anyways, guys, had a lot of fun talking some good football with guys who know what they're doing, man. It makes me happy. Of course, I'm Kyle Nash, a student of the game. Find me on Twitter, Threads, and Instagram at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with Jaguar Report. Yeah, you see, there is an AFC South tie-in. I told you. The black and gold banneret covering UCF. Hey, listen, Big 12 basketball is fun, y'all. And not to mention a lot of movement in football as well. Hate Gus Malzahn all you want. And, of course, my work as well, covering with the three-point conversion, as well as the A7BN Sports covering the Orlando Magic. All my work there. So check that out. You'll see all of it on the Twitter space and all the socials as well, and on all the podcast networks and such. Check out my podcast, The Student of the Game, Wednesday nights, 8:40 p.m. Eastern is the live stream if you catch it on the Huddle Up or Surtoba Media YouTube channels or any of those socials. And hey, I'm a 40-year-old with a Twitch account. I don't know if that's a bad thing or what, but an honor, joy, and privilege to talk to both you guys and to all of you out there who are touring the AFC South. But until next time, my friends, class dismissed.
All right.
We ain't dismissing class just yet. You know why we ain't dismissing class just yet? You just gonna leave out the Jaguars podcast, man. Come on, man.
Duval
Come on now.
Is on hiatus currently. But listen, I'll throw shouts to Travis Holmes of the Big Cat Country when we are doing the Duval Dive. Travis Holmes comes aboard and we do a lot of wild things. Hey, I would imagine there's going to be some off-season episodes. I didn't announce it because I don't know how we're doing that yet, but I'll figure it out.
Got you. Yeah, I will say there's probably going to be an episode about a particular gentleman that spoke to the media today. Yeah.
I know that Travis already had plenty to say about Trent Baalke. And
oh boy,
say this: you and I, Niner followers, already had plenty to say about Trent Baalke.
Oh yes, we've seen this movie before, and we know how it ends, and it ends tragically. So, you know what? Yeah, thank you all, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. We are out. Peace.